Welcome to Fly on the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Chris Sonkson, CEO and founder of Church Boom. Here you get to sit in on a live coaching session as I coach pastors through the ministry challenges we all face. If you find this podcast helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey, today we're talking with my buddy Jason about how to increase first-time guests. How do we get more guests checking out our church? It's a great coaching conversation. Before we jump into it, I encourage you to check out churchboom.org. If you've ever thought about being a coach, if you thought about what's the second chapter look for your life, what's the second income possibly look for your life, go to churchboom.org and click the tab that talks about coaching certification. We have a full digital program. You move at your own speed, and you could become a coach that starts coaching other pastors and leaders. It is fully digital. All the information is there. Matter of fact, if you're a Church Boom University member, you get a drastic discount as well. But make sure to check that out. Man, who knows? It could create a second income for you. It could change some financial things for your life. It could become a second chapter for your life. You just don't know. So check out the coaching certification program at churchboom.org. But let's jump into our coaching conversation with my buddy Jason. It's so good to have you on the podcast. Let's jump into it, man. What's on your mind today, and how can I serve you?
First off, thank you. You know what I mean? Sorry, not trying to be emotional on this thing, but coaching has changed my life. It's changed my church, has changed our team, and just super thankful for you and your investment into me and our team, and giving me opportunity as well. So just thank you, Chris. I can't imagine where we'd be without you. So thank you.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So just a couple questions. I'm going to ask about invite culture for a little bit. Your goal normally is that we have 5 adult guests for every 100 adult population or attendance.
Yep.
So that means we would need about 20 to 25 adults on the weekend for where we are right now.
Yep.
We're about 50% there from a stat standpoint. How can we increase that? How can we increase that? First question. And obviously, we're telling stories. We're doing those things on the weekend. We're putting invite cards into people's hands. And then, second, into that same question is that a sustainable number weekend after weekend, or is that an average that we should be thinking of over like a 6-week period, a 3-month period, those types of things when it comes to hitting that 20 to 25 each weekend?
Yeah. So the number is 4 to 5. So 5 is really healthy. 4 is still okay. You start dropping below that, it's hard to keep up with attrition, especially if you get down to 1 or 2. So a church that's running 200, it's like, we get 3 visitors a Sunday. Like, you're maybe going to keep up with attrition. Maybe.
Okay.
So that's why when churches say we're flat, but we have guests every Sunday. So that's my first question always is, okay, well, how many are you having? Because it's almost like digging a hole that's 3 feet deep, and, going out with a shovel, dig a hole 3 feet deep. Now you got a 3-foot hole, in the ground. Then now you say, okay, I want to fill the hole up. So you fill it back up, and it just gets back up to even. That's that church that's getting 1 or 2 per 100. They're just doing this. They're not.
Gotcha.
They're not going to have this. They're just getting the ground back to even. They're just barely keeping up with attrition. People are going to leave your church. People are going to whatever. So you have to figure out, man, what do we do to get above that? Because you don't want to just deal with attrition. And, that's a lot of where churches are at. So like I said, when people say, man, we have guests every week, I'm like, okay, how many adults do you have to come into your church? How many guests do you have on an average Sunday? Okay, now let me tell you where the problem is. The hole's going to be dug whether you like it or not.
Right.
So
Right.
People leave the church. People get mad at you. People move away. People die. People this, people that. The hole's getting dug, buddy, no matter what. So you got to have a certain amount just to fill that up. Not even to grow, just to fill it up. So that's an important part, I think. The things to get that number even higher, you are looking at an overall average. I've never been asked if it's like 6 weeks or 3 months. Off the top of my head, I'd probably, again, I think it's a little different seasonal. Some people have a lot more in the fall than they do in the summer. They have a lot more guests in the spring than they do in winter, whatever it is. Every city's different depending on weather and all that. But I think you need to look at, over a period 6 months, over a period of 9 months, what have we been averaging? Is that average high? Is that average low? What are we hitting? Because it's going to be different in different times of the year. So I think you have to be looking at that. The other thing is, we've talked about it before. How do you change culture? Stories to tell, here's to make, things you celebrate. So you don't want to, I think sometimes people underestimate culture change. Like changing someone's culture. That's like changing a 52-year-old man's habit of biting his nails or whatever he does or she does. It's one thing if you're 6 years old. It's another thing if you're 56 years old. Habit changing is different. And you're asking people to invite when most of them never have. So the one thing that I tell people, which I know we've talked about this before, but keep the invite culture going, keep telling the stories. That's important. Realize where most of your guests are coming from. You got to know that. So that's where you ask the question, who invited you and whatever. So are you, if it's like social media type stuff, great, let's invest more money there. But if you've got some people that are doing some inviting, you know me, I always tell everybody, don't just follow up on the guests, follow up on the people who brought the guests, because those are your best salespeople. And salespeople is a weird word for it, but you know what I'm saying. They're your producers, man.
Right.
You got people in your church that will never invite anybody, but who's doing the inviting? So you ask on your guest card, first time guest, who brought you, or today I brought, because people like to say, I brought someone, I'm getting credit. And so you want to put wind into the sail of people that are doing the inviting. Definitely wind into the sail of doing who's doing the inviting. That's an important part. I love that. Now, I think that's an important part. You gotta do that. New blood creates new blood way more than old blood creating new blood.
That's good.
New people bring new people. So then you blow wind into the sail of the new people because they bring new people. Then you blow wind into the sail of new people because they bring people. They do. Typically, in the average span of a person's Christianity, when they come to Christ, the chances of them bringing someone to church is a 9-month window. It's horrible. Now, I'm not saying nobody. Only 5 out of every 100 people even invite anybody to church as the average ratio. It's a horrible ratio, meaning 95 out of 100 don't. But you got a 9-month window. So the more new blood you put into that 9-month window, you put new blood, you extended that out. So let's say today, this Sunday, a bunch of people give their life to Christ and you invest and they start inviting people. You got 9 months. But then watch what happens. When they invite people 2 months into this, that 9 months goes out again. Your 9-month cycle keeps starting over and over with new people. But I'm telling you, new blood will create new blood. One thing that I recently saw that because I'm a big fan of reinforcing culture, and I don't know if I shared this with you or not, but for those that are listening on the podcast and checking this out, I was at a church a while back doing a rescue Sunday. That's where we raise money to rescue dying churches and churches that need help. You're a big fan and a big supporter of rescue, which I love and appreciate. So we got churches all across the nation does it, and I did it a couple months ago at a church up in Washington. And if I told you this already, just flow with it because I want everybody to hear this because I think it's so good. I'm standing in the lobby. Church runs, 800,000 people, whatever it is. I'm standing in the lobby. We're in between services. I'm talking to the pastor, and he's introducing me to a board member or some key leader in the church. We're shaking hands. There's probably 400 people in the lobby, and it's a nice lobby, nice big high ceilings and lots of energy. I mean, there was a lot of energy in the lobby. It was really cool. I remember noting the energy in the lobby. And then all of a sudden, I heard this ding, 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 like a bell, a bell goes like that. Everybody in the lobby goes, like everybody's talking. Just imagine I'm talking to you right now. All of a sudden, hey, Jason, so how's everything? Ding, ding, ding. Woo! How's everything going in your life? I'm like, what just happened? Literally, 400 people go, woo, like that. And I'm like, what just happened? So I asked the pastor, I go, hold on. I go, why did everybody go, woo? And he goes, someone's ringing the bell because we have a first-time guest here. And I'm like, what? And I go, where'd you get that idea? He goes, Harley-Davidson. And I'm like, he goes, when you buy something at Harley-Davidson, everybody rings the bell and then all the employees cheer. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
genius.
Yeah.
So what happens is people go to the Welcome Center, Connect Corner, whatever churches call it. Every church, whatever their name is, but they go up there. And so let's say I'm talking to you and your wife, Jason, you and your wife, yeah, you're here for the first time. Oh man, here's a little bit about our church, give you the little gift, whatever the church does. And then I'll say, hey, just let you know I'm about to ring the bell and everybody's going to cheer for you. You might say, oh, I don't want to hear it. I go, okay, when you walk away, I'll ring it. They won't know it's you, but I'm going to do it no matter what. Now if you have a kid, if you got a 4-year-old, you want to ring the bell? Of course. You pick up the little 4-year-old, they ring the bell and everybody goes, woo, and they cheer. Couple things are happening. Number one, come on, man. You got 400 people cheering. I don't care how embarrassed you are. Everybody likes being the center of attention for a second. That's awesome. The kid loved it. The first-time guests are like, wow, we're special here. And the 400 people that went, woo, they know what they're celebrating because they know what they're trying to produce.
Wow.
What gets celebrated gets repeated. And that's another thing they do. So think about that. In addition, when you're following up on first-time guests, when you're kind of that first-time guest thing, who brought the first-time guests? What's really cool is you're able to hold up that card and say, hey, if you're here for the first time, fill it out. Let us know who brought you. And if you brought someone today, you'll notice on the card it says, today I brought. Let us know who you are because you get what we're all about. That's culture. Videos.
Yeah, that's good.
Videos of, the video invite stories. Culture. Ring the bell. Culture. It just keeps adding to the culture. So those are the things you keep doing over and over.
That's good. So good. I'm going to go to get me a bell. I'm going to get a bell.
Yeah, it's time to go to get a bell.
Go get a bell. One of them horns now.
Well, I've told it to a few churches, and they're like, dude, I'm doing that. I go, just stand up there, do a couple Sundays of in 3 weeks, this bell's going to be hooked up outside right near our Welcome Center. When you hear this, what do you do? Woo! And then, all right, next week, when you hear that, do it, and literally it happened 8, 9, 10 times throughout the morning. Ding, ding, ding,
That's
woo!
Awesome.
A little bit later, ding, 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 woo!
That's
hilarious. It was hilarious.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And the energy was incredible. But you're also telling people, this is what we do.
Right.
This is who we are.
Yeah.
This is what we celebrate. So anyway.
That's good.
What else you got, man?
So thinking of launching the third service, just a couple questions along 3 services. How should we cast that vision for the launch of the third service? Especially to our key leaders and our serve team members, so it doesn't feel like a burden or just more work per se.
Yep.
I mean, obviously our teams are increasing, they're growing, but I just want to make sure those that are leading that is understanding, do we do it similar to how we did 2 services? Is third service a different animal when it comes to casting vision to the key leaders and the serve teams?
Yeah. So just so for those that are unaware, starting a second service is very similar to starting a third service. Okay. Again, you want to know you got to figure out what your most popular times are. I love figuring out who's going to be going to what service. I like people filling out a card. This is my name. This is my cell phone number, whatever, little information. And then if the services are 8:30, 10, and 11:30 or whatever, this is the one I'd go to, and this is how many adults come on Sunday with me, and this is how many children. And what you're trying to do is balance that out. So if your church runs 1,000, you're trying to say man, it'd be awesome if we get close to, around 3-ish at each service. Clearly it's not going to be perfect, but you don't want it to be 50, 500. It's major problem. Right. That's not good. So you want to do that. You want to know who's coming. You want to be able to communicate to those first, second, third time people as much as you can. You want to communicate all of that as much as you can. And then the other thing is you got to prepare the leaders, because it's always a time to make sure they're adding the right amount of leaders, make sure they're adding the right amount of volunteers, make sure they're structuring accordingly. Because if they don't do that and they end up not getting the leaders, not getting the volunteers, they're going to be frustrated at you. Mm-hmm. Go into a third service, is for most cases, the jump from 1 to 2 can be a little more difficult than 2 to 3 in most cases, but there's always a few like, oh my gosh, this seems like a long day. It's only a longer day for the staff. It should be. And the worship team. But that's where you got to have enough worship people where it's like we're rotating them. So, yeah, we're going to 3 services, but you only have to serve twice a month. So you have to kind of think through. You don't want to create people getting all frustrated. You got to make sure that your team is looking at leadership, looking at volunteers, making sure that they're getting enough leaders and volunteers involved. And it's also a great time to look at structure. Like, okay, now we're going to 3 services. I'm not saying you need to, but do we need to restructure? Like, this is kind of how it looks in the children's department. Do we need to tweak that now with 3 services or not? But it's an opportunity to look at all of that. It's not a lot difference. You do that, run the same play, run it strong, but make sure leaders and volunteers are doing what they need to do. Because if they don't, you're the one that's going to get the blame.
Okay.
He just wants to grow. He's adding services. He doesn't think about us. Give them enough of an on-ramp to do what they got to do.
Okay. Along the same lines with 3 services, should they be identical? What I mean by that, so we're thinking 8:30, a 10, 11:30, that 8:30 service being younger or being earlier when it comes to kids. Do you offer do you offer the same amount of kids ministry that you would your second and third? My younger families are going to probably come second and third more than my first service. Do we limit that kind of thing, or what have you seen, or what would you suggest?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things that I have seen, a couple things I've been a part of. One is full-blown children's ministry at all 3. Okay. I've also seen not full-blown children's ministry at all 3, but at the 8:30, the early one, only 5 and under. I've seen that. I like that better. I think, man, if you got 250 people in an auditorium and you got 2 screaming babies, it just makes for a difficult time.
Right.
So that 5 and under, if you're going to do the 5 and under, have your usher team ready at the door for anybody that comes in with a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old. Hand them something. Hand them a book, a little coloring book. Hand them some crayons. Do something that shows the parents, hey, we don't have anything for 5 and over or 6 and over or whatever, but here's something little they could do. A drawing thing, a puzzle thing, a this thing, whatever, depends on their age group. It's kind of a fun thing. They can just sit there and kind of play with it while they're sitting with their parents. You're right. Most of the people that are going to come to the 8:30 are probably going to be a little bit older, and they're probably not going to have the younger kids. But those are the 2 things I've seen. Full-blown, I've seen 5 and under. I'm not sure if I've ever seen one without any childcare. I always feel like there's something, but I'm sure there's some people that have done it. I like landing. If I'm not going to do full childcare, I like landing at 5 and under, and then having something for those kids that come in and going to be a little fidgety. Let's give them something. That
would you make that call once you survey who's coming to what service?
Yeah, I would.
With your current population, make that call once you figure that out.
Yep. Yeah, you'll know because the 8:30 is going to have the least amount of cards. That people fill out the card. Then you look at it and go, man, there's 100 adults, and most of these people, we know these people, and they're not marking that kids come with them. And if it's like, there's only out of 100, there's only 10 kids. Okay, well, let's figure out how old those kids are. All right, maybe it's only 5 and under. Maybe it's, and that's it. And it's just like, look, if you're 3 to 5, you're over here, and if you're 2 and under, you're over here, and that's it. We're only taking care of 10 kids. Now, that's totally up to you, but I know for me, I'm not a fan because a lot of people, they just don't, they're not, I don't know, I say socially aware. They're just not realizing like there's 250 people that are paying attention and that are trying to be focused on their life change, and you coming in the front row and you're doing this with your 2-year-old or your 1-year-old, and it just, you've seen it, you've been there, and you're like, really, dude? Right here in the front row, huh? You have any idea what it's like to keep preaching while you're doing that? So
exactly.
Oh my goodness. And so 5 and under is kind of the thing I like to do if I feel like it's a limited amount.
Okay. Back to the survey of which service. Would you do that from a hypothetical situation before you said we're actually going to do 3 services? Or would you say we're going to do 3 services, need you to fill out the card, tell us which service? Or would you say we're considering 3 services?
Yeah.
If we were moving to 3 services, what service would you attend?
Why would you, just out of curiosity, for the hypothetical, what is your thought process there? Help me understand that.
Just to kind of get an idea before we actually pull the trigger on
Oh, okay. I don't
the
think it's
nation.
I don't think it's bad to do it.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to lose anything for that. Just remember, when you're casting vision, you always got to say why. Keep the why in front of the people. I don't think it's bad to. I was just
Okay.
wondering what your reason was, and so I could answer that better. But I've done that.
Sure.
Hey, we're thinking about this. I've done that before. We're not sure yet. We're just looking at volunteers and leaders. But if we did, I've done that
Right.
before. Say most of the time I haven't done that. I just said, this is what we're doing, and we need to know because we're growing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at
Okay.
all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
Couple questions along multi-site.
Yep.
This is obviously probably a bigger discussion at some point, but what are some indicators that we need to be focused on that we're ready for a second campus? Like, we're going to go to 3 services. Do we wait for that to fill and then we start looking? Do we look now? Do we prepare? I know we got to prepare now. I get that part
Yep.
of preparing, but like, what are some of the indicators in-house that we need to be paying attention to know when it's time to launch it, a second campus?
Well, there's a couple things. If it's a church that's kind of going down for the count and they want to become one of your campuses, that might be a little different than an actual church plant.
Okay.
And the reason I would say that is my thought process is, and what I always look at is, if there's a church like we got 50 people left and we don't have a pastor and we'll become a real life church and whatever. Okay, then that's a different thing. If it's we're going to plant a church, I want to know, do we have any natural synergy, energy, or momentum in that certain area of the town or city, whatever. So let's say there's a city 15 miles away. You're like, it's only 15 miles away or it's 20 miles away, but we don't have anybody coming from there. Okay, that could be a challenge. If it's church planning and you're thinking, we're going to plant a church, we're going to literally start a second campus. We're not going to take over anything. We're starting a second campus. Okay. Our church runs 650 people like you guys do, but we've got 80 people that come from that community every week. Now, that allows you to test the waters because then you can do pop-up services. Pop-up service could be, hey, if you live in this area, you target them, you make the announcement. We're doing a special service just for you. We're going to have a little bit of extended worship. I'm going to teach a little bit. It's going to be fun. We're going to have this lunch truck. We're going to have, this donut maker guy there, make it really fun. And it's like, well, there's 80 people, 90 people, 100 people that come from that area. Well, if you do a pop-up service, if you will, and you can literally say, you don't need to come on Sunday morning here. We're coming to you on that Sunday night in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. You go there and 5 people show up, that's not a lot of momentum. You go there and of the 80, 65 show up, you're like, wow, okay, these people are really with us. Let's do another pop-up a month later or 2 months later. What you're doing is you're testing the waters to see, do we have any momentum in this area? And you don't have to say anything about starting a second campus. You might just say, hey, man, we're just doing some pop-up. We're coming to you because you're farther away. We're coming to you just to have a fun. You guys are coming farther away. This week, we're coming to you. You do that for a couple of times and you realize, like, man, I think we've got some momentum. I'm doing that with a church right now, literally helping a church do that right now. Literally 100%. They're on their 4th pop-up. They're getting 80 to 100. I'm like, momentum. Let's go. Yeah. Now, that tests the water. So that's different than hey, this church is dying and they want to become one of our campuses versus we're planting. Let's see if there's some natural momentum. In-house is what you mentioned. I'm looking, is there momentum? Okay. I'm looking, does that campus over there? I'm looking at leadership for sure. I'm looking at volunteer base. I'm looking at, do we have enough volunteers that maybe some could go over there? Because if it's a church that you're taking over that's going down for the count, you're going to want to infuse them with culture, which comes from your people. So do we have enough volunteers to send over there and they could stay there for 6 months? So those are questions you got to be asking. Do we have enough leaders? Do we have enough resources financially? So when you do a campus, you're usually marking around the 2-year mark where they now become operating in the black. So let's say you take a campus And you're like, well, we got a full-time campus pastor, and I'm going to stipend a children's or a worship at a few $100s a month, whatever. And it's going to cost, we're starting our own, and it's costing $3,000 a month to be in this school or whatever it is, whatever your cost is. And you're like, okay, that campus is bringing in, I don't know, just throwing out dollars. It's bringing in, $8,000 a month, but it costs us $13,000 a month. Okay, so we're negative $5,000. So here's the baseline. This is what this thing is costing us to do it. This is our income. Okay, it's $15,000 to operate this thing. We're bringing in 10. Now we're bringing in 11. We're bringing in 12. And then all of a sudden you watch, Jason, the lines start to cross and then they go above. You want to do that inside of 24 months or less.
Okay.
And you'll know. It's not like you need to wait till the 23rd month. You'll know within 8-9 months, like, dude, we're not growing the finances here. We're not growing. You'll know what issues you have to tackle. You don't need to wait for the 24th month. You're just marking that as, can we handle that financial extra for 24 months at this burn rate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What happens if it doesn't catch up? That's another discussion.
That's an ongoing problem. Well, yeah, that's an ongoing problem.
Yeah,
and it never goes away. You get up to 5-6 campuses, there's always one,
right.
and you're recognized. But the thing you have to know is you're not waiting for the 24th month. You're solving the problem much earlier. That, like, hey, look, I know it's only been 6 months, but we're not seeing any increase. What are we doing wrong with the culture invite? What are we doing follow up? What are we doing with our leaders and volunteers? What are we doing with our tithing base? Let me look at when you talk about giving. Let me watch the video. Wow, you're really not that confident when you talk about, like, you're coaching them way early on because you're looking early on. It's not like, oh my gosh, red flag goes up. It's been 6 months. No, red flag doesn't need to go up at 6 months. But if there's not been some sort of movement in 6 months, it's like, okay, we need to start addressing a couple things. And then you're coaching them. And then as it goes along, that coaching turns into, look, buddy, we got to light some fires here. We got to get this thing going. But you're coaching them early on because you already know what the problems are. You see it.
Okay. You mentioned takeover. How does that happen? Just somebody randomly saying, hey, we're dying, take over?
Yeah, sometimes you have, I mean, I see it all the time. But sometimes it's a church that you have a relationship with. Sometimes the pastor left. I won't mention his name, probably better I don't, but if I said the name, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. He's in the Church Boom family. He's an Assemblies of God pastor, a non-denominational church that he has a relationship with. The pastor is leaving. He's spoken at that church a few times. He's kind of coached that church, and the pastor's like, you know what? I'm leaving. We have nobody in the wings. People love you. What would it look like for us to become a campus of yours? And that 6 months ago, they became a campus of that one. And sometimes it's just that. It just happens, Right. And I think a lot of that is, you've heard me say this, and everybody that watches these podcasts heard me say it 1,000 times, that you dig the ditch, God gives the rain. You got to dig the ditch, man. It's like, well, you're not ready with leadership. You're not ready with resources. You're not ready with volunteers. Your systems aren't duplicatable. So, okay, and all those things are really important. It's like, well, the ultimate property manager, i.e. God, looks down and goes, well, there's a church property, but I don't think that church is ready.
Right.
I mean,
I got you.
It's kind of like, if you were God, would you give that church to you?
Right.
And
I want to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where I think it's like, I think we're getting there. We definitely are there. We're way getting there for sure at Real Life. You're doing an awesome job and we're getting there. I think that's when God allows the rain to show up. Obviously, we're not God, thank the Lord, but we're not God. But if we were, again, you look down and go, which church is ready? That one. Why would I give it to that one? It's not gonna work.
Right.
You're gonna give it to those that dug the ditch.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Yep. Cool.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I got for you.
You're the man, dude. Well, dude, I love and appreciate you so much. You're doing an amazing job. And if you are listening to this podcast and you have questions about how to get things moving and executing, Jason is one of the best. Jason Norman, Dayton, Ohio, Real Life Church. Look it up and bother him. And
There you go. Bring it on.
Would people start bothering you, Jason? Well, then you know where it came from. Hey,
There you go.
you're awesome, man. I love you, dude. Anything you need, you let me know. Always
Thanks,
here to
Chris.
help.
Love you too, bro. Thanks.
Okay, bud. We'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, thanks for checking out the conversation with Jason today. Hope you loved it. Also want to remind you to check out churchboom.org and click the tab that says Coaching Certification. We've got a great digital program to becoming a coach. If you're thinking about, man, I could use some extra income, or maybe I want a second chapter in my life, this could be for you. It is an incredible program. You move at your own pace, and it will teach you to be a coach to other pastors and leaders. If you're a Church Boom University member, you get a drastic discount as well. So make sure that you check out churchboom.org and check out the Coaching Certification Program. And we will see you next time on the Fly on the Wall podcast.